This is the meeting of the El Centro City Council for Tuesday, March the 19th, 2024. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Cardenas-Singh.
Present.
Councilmember Carter.
Present.
Councilmember Oliva.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia.
Present.
Mayor Marroquin.
Present. So at this time, Councilmember Oliva will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand, everyone. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing, and Councilmember Carter will lead us in the invocation.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you first just simply saying thank you. I want you to go from the east, the north, the south, and the west of the El Centro, Lord, and we're asking for your safety, your guidance, and your protection over our people, over our community. We're asking for you just to go and bless everybody, Lord. We're asking for you just to protect the streets, Lord. Protect our kids as always. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Madam City Attorney, any reports on closed session?
No, Madam Mayor, there's no reports on closed session at this time.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to read a statement, please. The City of El Centro is a charter city with authority over its own municipal affairs. Recently, the city has received a number of requests for proclamations supporting political or other causes outside the city's jurisdiction. The city works with the League of Cities and, excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat. The city works with the League of Cities and National League of Cities to address state and national issues of importance to cities or specifically to El Centro. As we move forward in highly political times, there will continue to be a number of controversial issues which are not municipal issues. The city's policies prohibit city action on items of political controversy, ideological or religious beliefs, or individual convictions. In the coming year, it is important to remember that limitation as we move forward. The constraints on city action do not mean that individuals or groups are prevented from holding or sharing their beliefs. They mean that the city will not take a position. And so at this time, we will go into public comments. This is a public meeting. If there is an item on the agenda on which you wish to be heard, you are asked to complete a blue speaker slip and submit it to the city clerk prior to the start of the meeting. Persons wishing to address the council are not required to identify themselves. However, this information assists the mayor by ensuring that all persons wishing to address the council are recognized and also assists the city clerk in preparing the city council meeting minutes. When the item is announced and your name is called by the mayor, please step to the podium and state your name for the record. Unless the mayor extends the time, there is a 3-minute time limit for each public presentation. If you wish to address the council concerning any other matter not appearing on the agenda, you may do so during the public comment portion of the agenda. However, you may not show a visual presentation without review of that material. If you do so, you will be considered out of order. Madam City Clerk, do we have any blue speaker slips?
None, Mayor.
None whatsoever. Okay. Anyone online?
No one.
Okay, so now we move on to presentations. And first, we have Captain Ernesto Ruedas from the California Highway Patrol.
Good afternoon. Do I need to press anything? No?
Yeah.
Mayor, council members. I would just wanted to introduce myself as the new captain for the California Highway Patrol, the El Centro area, and show our support to the city, to you members, and say thank you for the support that you provided during my promotional luncheon. I think it showed solidarity within the community. I know that my boss was very impressed by it. So, and I want to say thank you and have a formal introduction and tell you guys in the city that whatever you need from the California Highway Patrol, you have an ally in me. As you may know, I'm a local person. I go to church with some of you guys. So I'm excited to be in the community. I'm excited that they pick somebody from the community to represent the Highway Patrol. And that's it. Just say thank you and looking forward to working with you and whatever you need. I know Chief Sawyer and I work very well together, and we're going to continue to do so with our other law enforcement partners. And you know, we're a phone call or a text away. And if you guys have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer any of your questions.
Would anybody, my colleagues, would you like to say anything to Captain Redas or?
I would, Madam Mayor, if it's all
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Congratulations. We're
Thank
so excited. We have always had a strong partnership with the California Highway Patrol, very vigilant and active in many of the activities that take place in our city. So we look forward to your leadership and your new capacity. And thank you so much for serving our city. Thank you.
ma'am.
Sir, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
It's good to see you, and I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
Very happy, like you said, to know that our captain for this area is from this area. And I think that's important for purposes of law enforcement, is for somebody that's leading to know this area. And, you know, you and I have known each other for quite some time in different capacities. And in this new capacity, I just want to say congratulations. Very happy for you. And I look forward to working with you again.
Thank you, sir.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes, I would like to say congratulations to you, not only for your leadership, but also for your parenting. For your daughter did a phenomenal job at speaking at your
Yeah.
event.
Yes.
And I do want to just say hats off to her. You're doing really well. Your wife and you are doing really well.
Thank you. It was a complete surprise, which it was probably the coolest part of the ceremony was her speaking and then doing it in Spanish for my parents that don't. It's funny, my parents have been here for a long time in this country, but we you know, English is still the first language. I mean, Spanish is my first language. I mean, when I came to Hebrew Elementary when I was 8 years old, I didn't speak a lick of English. I mean, I still don't do very well at it, but you know, anyway. But so thank you, man. Thank you for saying
You're
that.
so
I
welcome.
appreciate it. And I think out of the dozens and dozens of captains that have worked for commanders of the El Centro area, I think I'm the second local one. Out of, I want to say the numbers like in the 40s or 50s of captains that have gone through here. And I can think in the past 6 years, there's been 5 different captains. So it is a revolving door. It is a stepping stone for a lot of people, but it's not for me. It's my end goal. So I'll be here for a little bit. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Congratulations,
Thanks,
Captain,
sir.
again. It was a pleasure being there for your event. It was very well attended, which is a credit to your professionalism and your service. And it was wonderful to meet your family and, of
Thank you.
course, to hear your daughter speak so eloquently at such a young age.
Thank you.
So congratulations. We're very excited that you're here, very excited that you're local, and congratulations again.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Captain Redas. Well, let me ask you a
Oh, sorry.
question.
No, no,
Yeah,
please. I don't want to take too much of your time. That's why I'm like, should I?
No, well, you know, first of all, congratulations.
Thank
You know,
you.
it's so nice to have someone that is local in such a position of, you know, high position of authority here in the Valley. But, you know, the other thing that I have to say is that I actually commended your daughter on her little presentation because I was so impressed
Yeah.
that
Thank you.
that someone that young did not look a bit nervous while she was up there speaking.
Fearless, I
Yes,
know.
and I also commended your wife, you know, for that. And but I did just a question. So when do you anticipate opening the new headquarters office?
They're looking at the end of the year, hopefully. There's been several challenges along the way. I know the builder's working diligently. Sletton, they're working super hard at it, along with DGS and the state to get this project going. There's been a lot of progress made. If you go now, I mean, the walls are up in there. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of moving parts. Hopefully, the end of the year, ma'am, and then we can, once that's done, it'll take a couple months to move in and have it be operational. At that point, we do plan to have a grand opening, and you know, you all will be invited. Hopefully, you guys can attend, and it'll be a great event for this office. Obviously, is going to serve us And the Highway Patrol is going to be great in its for morale and then to provide services, but it's also going to be great for the city. If you need your car seat installed now, if we need to do a car seat class or a traffic safety class, well, you have to come to a briefing room, which is pretty tiny, and it's not very comfortable in there. So we can just being able to provide classes, have somewhere where we can have an interview room with somebody and not use our kitchen as our interview room. That's going to be great, great for everybody. So
Yes.
and it'll be your home as well, and for whatever you need.
Well, thank you. So now we're going to have 2 state-of-the-art facilities for law enforcement here
Absolutely.
in El Centro. So
Yes, ma'am.
we're looking forward to that, and hope to be there when you have your grand opening. So
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and now I would like to invite Mr. Douglas Heisel, Operations and Safety Supervisor for the Central Union High School District, a presentation of a pedestrian safety safe routes to school.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Doug Heisel. I am the Operations and Safety Supervisor for Central Union High School District. With me tonight is Ms. Adrian Rodriguez, Assistant Principal at Central High School. Also, we have Mr. Vandreschi, who is our Legal Services and Law Enforcement Coordinator. We also have some Law Academy students, so that will be going through the slide with you here in a minute. We also have our board members sitting with us here, cheering us on. So first, we would like to thank the City Council for giving us the time for this presentation on our Safe Routes to School survey conducted this past October by the Law Academy, Engineering, and Photography students at Central High School. First, Ms. Rodriguez and I will give some background on how we got to this point. Law Academy students will then present the data from the survey. Mr. Vandreschi will come up and go through our 3D model, which we have over here. Kind of hard to see, so we do have a picture that we can see better up on the screen for you guys. What we feel will alleviate the traffic and safety concerns around Central. Then Ms. Rodriguez and I will come back, let you know where we're going to go from here with some short-term and long-term goals. So some background, Ms. Rodriguez sent an email about a year ago with her concerns on traffic issues and student safety while coming to and leaving from the school. We went out one morning to Holt Avenue for about 30 minutes and observed the traffic. After observing the traffic, Ms. Rodriguez and I sat down. We came up with some ideas on how to make it safer during that time. One of those ideas was to close down 12th Street in front of the gym for about 30 minutes before and after school. And to do so, we would have to submit an encroachment permit to the city, which we did in June of last year. I went back throughout the summer numerous times to the Public Works Department to check on the status of this permit, and I didn't get any answers. Finally, on October 17th, we had a meeting with the Public Works Director, his team, 2 officers from El Centro PD, myself, about our initial encroachment permit. The Director of Public Works had some concerns about closing off a street with residents, so our permit was denied, but he did give alternative solutions to our traffic issues, which I'll go over in our short-term goals after the student's presentation.
Good evening. I'm Adrian Rodriguez. So this year, I began working closely with Karina Ojeda, who is a former program supervisor for public health. We were discussing other concerns that were going on at Central and surveys for our students. At that time, during one of our meetings, I mentioned to her about our concerns with traffic. During that time, she mentioned to me that they had a program called Safe Routes to School, and that it was a survey and how they can assist schools with traffic control. I discussed the concerns at Central with traffic and contacted Doug so that we could all meet together to have a plan. We all met with Doug and Corey Vandreschi to discuss the needs and concerns with traffic. We developed a plan of action to assist with observing traffic conditions over a 3-week period in 3 different areas around the school that were concerning areas. The first area was by the STEM building on Brighton. The second area was in front of the front gates on 10th Street. And the third area of concern was the pool gates on Holt by the gym. The surveys were conducted in the morning and after school for 3 weeks. Law Academy students observed all three areas with adult supervision and filled out surveys on their observations regarding traffic. The Public Health Department created the student surveys and compiled all information from the surveys that we will be sharing with you tonight.
Hi, City. I'm part of the three students who, well, one of the many students who have with the traffic analysis at Central. Um, our survey had three general categories. We had, sorry, can I put? Is it okay if I? We had three general categories, one of which was infrastructure concerning the roads. Second one was driver behavior, and the third one was signals/general. I was conducting the survey on Bradenton. What I found when I was conducting the survey was that the road seemed way too narrow. There were some cracks in the road, and the crosswalks weren't clearly defined. Here on this picture, you can see that you have one crosswalk here, and there's one right here that's faded out. And there's a lot of students that live in those areas that can't cross. Me personally, sometimes I drive to school. While I'll be driving down this road, since the road is so narrow and the cars are parked here on the side, it gets really hard to see in between the cars. Then there'll be people trying to cross in between them, and it's really hard to see them. As for driver behavior, there's the issues of sometimes they don't stop. They'll be dropping off students in random areas, speeding, especially during after school hours, and a lot of congestion as well. Sometimes they don't pay attention to the red zone, so they'll be unloading in red zones, and it makes the congestion all the worse.
Good evening. I'm Stephanie Portillo, and I was one of the students that participated in this survey. One of the places I took care of was the south side of the school, which is the pool side. A lot of the problems around the school have been like, there has been a trend in all the sides of the school. For example, in Whole Avenue, we really need a cross guard and more crosswalks because it's really hard to find one for the students. And a lot of the parents are also just dropping off their kids in random areas, which causes a lot of the students to accidentally walk in front of cars or get dropped in dangerous areas. Another thing is that there is not that many streetlights in the area either. So we could do that for like after school activities in case there's any students getting dropped off the schools to ensure they're safe.
Hi, good evening, City and Mayor and Council members. My name is Jonathan Guerra, and I am the one that covered the road on 10th Street, which is in front of the school. As we can see right here in the front, there is a little sign that says the street is closed during school hours, and throughout our opinions that we have discussed, we feel there is a necessity for there to be a crosswalk button to signify the drivers that there's active school and their kids trying to get to the school. As our students marked the crosswalk to be somewhat a little bit more faded, more out than how it was. Some of the students, when they get dropped off, they usually get dropped off in the middle of the streets, and they just walk right across the street, instead of using the crosswalk, and thus making it like we feel as a necessity to get a crosswalk button or a traffic guard, and so that we can ensure their safety to making it to school. Mainly when they walk to school, students are distracted by their phones, as you know, like the youth of today, or not just youth, everybody else. We're always on our phones, and it could be a really hazardous, what's called a problem, and create problematic situations to not just people, the students walking, but to the people driving. For the driver's behavior, uh, the drivers don't really pay attention to much, as either they're ignorant or just they don't really pay attention to either the stop signs or any signs to signify that there's students around the area. And the drivers do tend to end up speeding, as we observed, and they're not concerned for anybody else's safety, and just to go on about their day. The driver, like I said, like if they're speeding and they're not concerned, they also don't really yield to any of the students that are crossing by. They just go on and take off like they have the right of way. Like I said before, the phones are very problematic to everybody and could create very stressful situations. Like the traffic could get a little bit hectic since everybody's dropping off all their students, their kids off in the middle of the streets, which could hold up traffic and just congest the whole entire system and just ruining the flow of traffic. For the safety, how as I mentioned before, there was a lot of traffic. There was a lot of speeding with that, and as I mentioned before, the sign that says that the road is closed during school hours. We have witnessed multiple times that drivers tend to break that sign, not physically, but they would just go through that road like the sign wasn't there. Um, there really isn't no, there really isn't a drop off area where kids could just where the where the parents could drop off their kids to make sure they get to their classes and to school. Cars are usually when they drop off their kids. Let me see if I can. So around right here, in this like little corner, drivers tend to end up parking in that corner and just drop off their kids, and it could just like kind of mess up like the whole entire system. And so, since as of my partners have mentioned previously, the streets are very narrow, so some drivers tend to just make U-turns, and with all the excessive traffic, it could lead to really bad situations, and there could possibly lead to an accident. Um, I Some students ride their bikes and skateboards down in the middle of the streets, and we've seen that there isn't any bike lanes or anything of that matter to ensure the safety and for the students that ride their bikes or skateboards to school if since they can't really find a ride to school, and for the students that ride their bikes or skateboards, like it just they don't have that bike lane, it can make it like a lot difficult for them so that they can just go through the sidewalk, and then with all the students crowding the sidewalk, it just makes it really hard for the students that use their own method of transportation to school. I believe that's it. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Corey Van Dreschi. I'm the coordinator for the Law Academy.
Am I going the wrong way?
Wrong, sorry. So our, like it was mentioned earlier, our engineering department, our law academy, and also our photography class was the one that assisted with creating this project. And I know that Mr. Rodriguez from the photography class is here. And so I'm thinking if I hit spacebar, it should play. So this, while they were no, didn't play. Okay, well, we'll skip that. But that was a really good, he put it together and it's time lapse of the drone, the footage that we had over all of the intersections that we covered during the 3 days. And it came out really nice. I worked with El Centro PD to get some traffic statistics from January of 2020 through November 30th of 23. There's been 25 injury and non-injury traffic accidents in and around Central High School, as well as 85 citations that have been issued by the department. And that's my slide.
You got off easy.
I got off real easy. So now I know that, you can see if you can get this play. Well, while they're doing that and they're figuring that out, I want to take a second to thank the El Centro Police Department for the partnership that they've created with our law academy. I know that when I took this position in 2012, my goal
We were assigned which one, Cedric? You and I. We had this one.
Yeah.
And then did you guys have a picture of the model?
Yes. Display.
So one of the solutions that we came up with, so one of the solutions that we came up with was to create a turn-in, turn-out lane for the school buses. So instead of the school buses dropping students off on 10th Street and having 10th Street closed during school hours, we could leave that available for parents to drop their sons or their daughters off at the school. On Holt, where we currently have a bunch of portables, those portables are going to be removed, and we're going to leave 6 portables. And we were thinking that we could create a turn-in bus lane that's wide enough for 2 buses. It'll turn in on Holt, and then it would exit right before Wilson. The parking lot that is across the street from Holt currently is the entrance for the parking lot. We're going to move the entrance from the south side of Holt Street to the east side of Wilson, the entry and exit for the parking lot. And then we'll have pedestrian gates on the south side of Holt Street at the student parking lot so that they can cross in the crosswalk and not have as much traffic to try to navigate. We're hoping that we could mark the curbs in front of the turn-in, turn-out lane red so that no one parks there, which would also help with students crossing the street and not having to worry about getting run over. Good.
Thank you, Mr. Bandreschi and the Law Academy students. You guys did a great job on the presentation.
Thank you.
So some of our short-term goals, which were suggested by the Public Works Director, would include 3-way stops on 12th and Brighton, which is the north side of the school, 10th and Orange, which is the east side front of the school, 12th and Holt, and Wilson and Holt on the south side, which you saw on the model. In addition to the stop signs, we would like to have the curbs around the school designated loading and unloading before and after school, then no parking during school hours, and to change the entrance and exit to the student parking from Holt Avenue over to Wilson Street. I have submitted the traffic application for these items last month, and we're just waiting to hear from the Public Works on the status of the application.
For our long-term goals, we do have that we would like to be researching grant opportunities with Office of Traffic Safety. Also have the support from Public Health to research other grants available to schools. Support from the City of El Centro for grant opportunities for our school. In 1 to 2 years, Central High School is planning to design a bus turnout lane as part of a future project on Holt Avenue. This project will support traffic safety for our school site. At this time, I would like to thank all those that assisted with this project. I'm very proud of our students here at Central. This project was student-run. It involved our Law Academy students that did all the observations and the surveys. It also involved our students that were in photography that assisted with the drones. So they went out every time we were doing the observations. And then it also included our students that were in the engineering STEM program who communicated with law enforcement students and also the students that were in photography. And they created this model that you see, that you saw earlier. So my, hats off to our students at Central. They did a wonderful job. I'm so proud of them. So at this time, I would like to ask all of them to stand up to get some recognition for their work. And last but not least, I would like to thank Karina Ojeda and the Public Health Department for her support with creating the surveys and for assisting us with our student observations. I would also like to thank Corey Van Dreschen for him guiding his Law Academy students and assisting us with this project. Also our teacher, Mr. Rodriguez, and his assistants with his photography students. And last but not least, Mr. Ortiz with his assistance with the engineering students in the 3D model. Thank you.
Couple more words, sorry. So just in closing, I would like for Central Union High School District to have a good working relationship with the city so it can address these traffic issues in a timely manner. I believe Central Union High School District and the city of El Centro working together to get these traffic issues resolved will benefit not only our students, but the entire community that frequently uses our Central High School campus. Also, I want to thank the city council members that did make it out on the morning of October 17th. You guys came out with us in the morning to help us with our observation that day. I think it really helped for you guys to see what our traffic concerns were. So I just want to say thank you very much for coming out. All right, thank you. Any questions, comments?
Colleagues?
Just to take this opportunity, congratulations to the great work that was put into this project. There's one thing about the Imperial Valley, it's the high caliber of our students who truly take the intent of making sure that we have a better quality of life, and that starts now in these types of discussions. I was fortunate enough myself, Council Member Oliva and our city manager had the opportunity to observe, and I will tell you, it was very frightening to see the traffic conditions and what our students were facing. We had students that were literally being dropped off with a rolling stop in the middle of the street, and the speed in which people were traveling. We were literally we were right next to on Holt Street, next to the swimming pool area, and it was very alarming. I think it's absolutely true until you actually stand there and witness the traffic and the lack of respect for pedestrians that are walking across the street. That's someone's son and daughter that we need to be careful about. So I appreciate the presentation and absolutely look forward to having that partnership and making sure that we're addressing this.
Thank you.
I would actually. So I appreciate, I'm very grateful for the presentation and to the students that led this effort. It was very apparent when we were observing that the students were very much involved and were guiding us and helping us where to stand. I saw the Brighton and 10th Street on the north side, right? And I think what I want to say is I don't necessarily have an everyday reason to be at Central Union High School during drop off and pickup times, right? So in the mornings and all that. So I don't see it every day. And so to anybody who might, not have children in a high school age, you don't have a reason to know exactly. So that exercise really was an eye-opening experience for me to see exactly, right? Just a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a control time frame of just, it wasn't scheduled, it wasn't crafted, it was just a regular day that you all deal with to see exactly what it would look like. And a lot of the observations that your students presented, I know that I saw personally. And you look at how it's not just students. And I think the general public would assume that we're talking about students being the drivers and failing to do this. It's a lot of it is the parents. And a lot of it is because their parents are prioritizing the pickup and drop off above everything else, right? And they're just so fixated on, I need to drop off my kid at such time, and they completely neglect or just avoid all the other laws and whatnot. And so I'm saying that because I remember in a previous employment when I used to work for SCAG, we partnered up with the public health department. Were you part of it, Fernanda? You were, right? Okay. So what we did was, in the rubric of safe routes to school, there's 20 points available for whether or not, if you have a master plan, you hit yes or no. And if it's no, then you miss out on 20 points, right? And so we led the effort to make sure that the county had a safe routes to school master plan for the first time. And so that way we can hit yes and actually be competitive, because safe routes to school for the state is doled out by District 11, Caltrans. So we compete with San Diego, right? And we were never getting any money. And so that would at least benefit us. And so one of the things that I learned is that there are the 6 E's of safe routes to school, right? Which is education, encouragement, engineering, enforcement, evaluation, and equity. And I think that, and the reason why I say all that is because I think that a lot of what was presented and a lot of what we could be partnering with, it could be either enforcement to make sure that parents are obeying these traffic laws. It could be equity, such as, getting out some curbs, right? Lighting, striping on the streets, engineering, right? And I know that Abraham has provided some ideas there, because it's a window of like 30 minutes, right? It was very quick.
Yeah.
How just bad it really got in this short period of time. And then in 30 minutes, it just all calmed down. And so I say that because, high intensive, engineering with like capital improvements and whatnot, such as like closing down the street or, putting a traffic light and things like that for a window of like 45 minutes in the morning and a window of 45 minutes at night might seem overkill, as opposed to something that is less expensive, less intrusive in terms of the overall structure. And to the students, it's like, I heard you say the street is very narrow, right? And think about it, like, we can't just magically make it longer, right? So that's something that I know that is going to be very difficult, but it doesn't mean we can't do anything. So I'm going to stop before my colleagues say you're talking too much. I feel it. But thank you for presenting. I appreciate it. And I also look forward to partnering with you all on a Safe Routes to School application.
Thank you very much.
Member Carter, would you?
Well, since you used my time, I'm just kidding. I would like to congratulate you and to the youth for putting in all the hard work. I know you had a lot of people in your corner that was helping you do this, and you went out and you did your homework. You went and you did your research. You went and you stood at the post. You took pictures. You did everything that you needed to do, which is good. And I'm very proud of you for stepping up and stepping in that way, because I've lived that, and it's a long time coming. It's a long time coming. I've lived that path, and that path is very dangerous. And what do we think? We think after the fact, like, what if something really happened and really serious happened? Then this would have to occur like in a hurry. So I'm glad that you're taking it on and you're doing this now, because it's very, very important, because the safety of our kids matter. And I'm very proud of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations to all the students that participated. It's a great presentation. Having a son at Wilson and one at Central, I see the chaos every single day when I have to drop them off. So it's definitely something that needs to be evaluated. We need to come up with some right-sized solutions to make it safer for everybody. And yes, I do agree that a lot of the problems are the parents trying to get to work and just the chaotic nature of the rush to get everybody in for the school bell. But there has to be some creative ways for us to mitigate that so we can avoid any sort of horrible repercussions that could happen when you're dealing with, very heavy automobiles and kids trying to get to school. So we definitely are looking forward to partnering with you and coming up with creative solutions. I commend Abraham for, being involved and for trying to come up with the main goal and create this safe route to school. So I look forward to that, and I'm very invested in it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Heisel, I think I've been living this since I was in high school because I live right across the street from the track field. And so I've witnessed not only what happens all around the perimeter, because I used to walk the perimeter of the school on a daily basis. But now, so what I live on the end where all the sports activities happen. And as a matter of fact, as I was turning off of Imperial Avenue today to get onto Brighton, it was so congested there because now we've got not only the construction that's going on around, but also all of the parents or the students that are parking on the street. So I know what you mean. I had a very, very narrow path to get into, the street. Aside from that, there have been times when I've come home from work and I sit there to observe because although there's quite a bit of parking along the edge of the street and across the street from where I live, many parents double park. Double park to either pick up or drop off their kids after practice. And, if it isn't bad enough, because now we've got cars parked on both sides of the street, and now they're also blocking the traffic coming. And then at times, I've seen people pass on a very narrow street. So yes, I'm many times I'm in shock. I'm in disbelief that somebody would actually pull that kind of a maneuver down a residential street. And the speeding is like, I work at a school, and our school is right next door to another school. So, at our school, we have a drop-off and a pickup procedure. I don't know if that's something that you have. I know it's very difficult because you cover a big perimeter of area here, but, the funny part is that many parents rat each other out, to when they don't follow the procedure.
Yeah.
So, I sympathize, and, kudos to all of your students and everyone who participated in this survey. Just watching, I know it was in speedy motion here. It wasn't even in slow motion, but it would have been interesting to see, what it was like, before it speeded up. But yes, there's just so many violations around the school. And I know that even our mailman, that delivers, he, because he knows I'm on the city council, complained about, what happens at the drop off and because he can't get through. So, I look forward to, seeing, with the collaboration of the city, the high school district, to see the plan that you come up with to, I guess, improve the flow of traffic, around the school.
And that's our initial
Yes.
plan here. And then,
Mhm.
we don't really know how it's going to go until we
Mhm.
start implementing those things.
Mhm.
So it's just the beginning point. I do think that traffic enforcement of the law is a huge issue. We have worked with our SROs, which we've had just for a short period of time. They've done a great job. So we continue to work with them also on trying to get a plan on how to slowly start enforcing the laws, traffic laws around the school, because it is difficult just to come in and, start trying to enforce every law. It would be very hard. So just a good starting point. I think working with the city is going to be a great partnership, and hopefully we can get this done for us.
Well, thank you, Mr. Heisel.
All right.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you for being here. And yes.
If I may, Mayor, I just want to, and council members, I just like to congratulate the students on what a great work. As soon as I walked in, I went straight over there and reminded me of my work in college. My name is Abraham Campos. I'm the Public Works Director and City Engineer for the City of Centro. Great job. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort to come up and a lot of courage to present as well. So great job on that, and looking forward to that partnership. I'd also like to take the opportunity to discuss the efforts that we're doing already in this area, in the history a little bit of why we take students safety as a very important need and a very important part of our mission here in El Centro. Over the years, we've applied for multiple active transportation programs, safe routes to school grants, and to the tune of millions of dollars. And we've implemented many of these. Here for El Centro, for example, I believe we were one of the first cities, if not the first one, to implement the rapid flashing beacons of our school sites, which have been a hit and everybody wants one. So and then going further, we haven't designed a project, active transportation plan, which will replace the pedestrian push button, the rapid flashing beacon at Holton Imperial, with an actually a pedestrian hybrid beacon, which is a much fancier, more robust way to actually stop vehicles on Imperial Avenue to create a pathway for pedestrians and students to go across. So that's in the work and coming up, probably construction within the 6 to 12 months. And we can't get it earlier because grants are great, but they say congratulations, you got the grant, you can spend it 2 years from now. And so unfortunately, we hear you, we apply for it, we put the effort, but it takes time to get the deliverable, right? On the stop signs, for example, on the around that were discussed and were recommended, we have contracted with our consultant for traffic engineers to do stop sign warrants. We can't just put a stop sign up because it creates liability, because we could make it worse than it was by putting a stop sign. So with that, we get engineers, experts in traffic engineers, to look at a warrant. So we have approved that contract with them, and probably within the next 3-4 weeks, we'll get the results. And we're looking at 12th and Brighton, 12th and Holt, and Orange and 10th as potential stop signs. Those are less intrusive and less costly than having a paid staff as a crossing guard be there and standing. If we place a stop sign at a crosswalk, then that works. Hopefully that alleviates the traffic. In terms of the narrow lanes, you got a good point. Narrow lanes are actually a good thing. They force you to slow down. If we have wider lanes, people tend to speed even further because they have the optical pathway that they can go faster. Think of a freeway. So if it's narrow, folks will slow down.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
Well, it's I'm not saying by 15 miles, but 5 miles or 10, you'll probably slow down if you get a narrow lane as opposed to if it's a wide lane. So and that does occur. So the lines of sight is something that we got to look at as well, and that's what happens with we have like a mid-block crosswalk or vehicles that are students hiding between vehicles. A big one that we cannot solve, and no matter what, no engineer will ever solve, is just public education. And getting folks and parents to just drop off kids where they're supposed to be dropped off. And we see all too often in the middle of the street, boom, door opens, get off, and keep going. That's very, very dangerous, but that's something that engineers, no matter what we build, we will not be able to solve that. So that's where we need the help from maybe this group and this body to help educate the parents. Going back to a grant application, it was brought up with public health, and you mentioned it, Councilmember Oliva, is a partnership that we did with a grant that the city applied for. I think Adriana Nava was part of that, if I remember. All right, and we worked with public health, and they created safe routes to school plans and preferred paths of travels for many school sites. I can't remember, Centro was one of the sites that actually has a plan where this was looked at, I want to say 4 years ago or so. So maybe it's having that continuity to move forward. I really like this partnership. I want to see it move forward. Many times we see like this parking lot. If we get a chance to comment on access ways and before you go out to bid or before you award a design contract, and I guess this question goes to the board, please check with your consultants if they reached out to the city. Many times we're reacting, and many times staff changes, a new gate goes into another location that we hadn't planned onto, and suddenly the drop-off area is no longer where we thought, and next, over the summer, they moved the gate to different locations because they added a building, we never knew about it, we have a new traffic. So it's just that coordination that we need to make sure that happens, and because the schools are their own district, many times the communication is not there. But I really hope this is an opportunity, a catalyst to work together to improve the safety of our children. And to the students, great job. When did you graduate? We have job openings. So really this was for the engineering. So I applaud the school's effort. I applaud the Central Union High School STEM facility, the STEM efforts going forward, and I'm serious on the jobs. So it's not, if it's not here, we'll find you one at the county, at our consultant engineers, or just let us know. We'll find something. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abraham.
Okey doke.
I just, Madam Mayor, if you don't mind, I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that the Central Union High School District Board members are all here present. Thank you very much for being here. And I just wasn't sure if,
Yes, is it all of them? Yeah, wow, great.
wasn't sure if any of you were going to say anything on behalf of the board.
Good evening, council members, and thank you for this opportunity. I think as I was hearing the students, I was realizing that this is part of teaching them about civic engagement, right? About how important it is to get involved with our local government and really use your voice. So I think this is really a good opportunity for them to learn those skills that are so important to be part and active in our communities. And again, I really want to show our appreciation and express our appreciation for those council members that took the time to visit our campuses and to be part of this survey. So thank you very much, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Well, once again, I would like to thank all of the Central Union High School district team for being here this evening. It is an eye-opener when you actually see everything on the screen. But, as I mentioned, it's just like it's been a way of life for me because I live right there. And so hopefully, we will resolve some of these issues. It just takes a little bit of time and money. And that's the part that's hard to get, is the money. So we'll keep working at it. And again, the partnership between both agencies, our law enforcement agencies, the city council, our public works agency, I think will then flourish, from this point on and ensure that we keep all our children safe. That's the bottom line, and that's what really matters. So thank you very much. All righty. What?
I didn't catch that.
Oh.
Oh, no.
I didn't know. Because, he heard somebody said that there's kind of that simple, I mean, he was I think maybe that's what is this? All righty. Okay, so we're ready to move on to our consent agenda. Colleagues, we are ready to vote. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or? Okay, and those items pass 5-0. And now we move on to new business. Discussion and any necessary action regarding the acceptance of the 2023 Housing Element Annual Report. And we have a presentation by our Director of Community Development, Mr. Angel Hernandez.
Hello, good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. What's that time of year where I come before you and speak regarding our housing element and the annual progress report that we submit every year. Tonight, the presentation, I'm going to start with just a refresher about what is the housing element, what is the annual progress report, and then I'll go into go over some highlights of the report, and then also take this opportunity to talk about like any housing development projects, initiatives from the city regarding residential development that are currently planned. So the housing element, it's one of the 8 elements of our general plan, and each element is essentially a chapter. And the housing element is rather unique because it's the only element that state law is really prescriptive about what's included inside of it. It also state law also mentions how frequently it needs to be updated, and some of the major elements that are included in there are the regional housing needs allocation, which I would just refer to as RENA, the housing site inventory, which is shown on that map on the lower right-hand corner, the housing plan, which includes the programs, the policies that the city would implement to meet our goals, to meet the RENA, and move forward with any other type of housing initiatives. And it also has a really thorough discussion regarding demographics, housing conditions, constraints on development, etc. The progress report itself, it's required to be submitted every year by April 1st. It's in the form of these Excel spreadsheets that the Department of Housing and Community Development provides to us. And let's see. And it reports on the progress on the RENA. So there's the table that I'm going to show you in the next couple of slides. And also, we also need to report the implementation program, how we're meeting our goals. So this is a table for this year's housing cycle. So the housing element is it's valid for a plan period of 8 years. The one we currently have in place is from 2021 to 2029, and each of those years. So that first column, this is income level. That's basically a classification about the income level for each housing unit. The second column is the RENA allocation, and that's essentially how many units are in our goal. And the next couple columns is the past columns, how many units have been built in that specific income category. And the very last column is how much is remaining. So as you can see, the overall goal in the RENA is 3,442. A vast majority of it is in the very low and the above moderate income categories. And you can see our progress throughout the last 3 years. I just want to take a little note that 2021, it's only for half a year, and that's due to some kind of specific housing law changes that were implemented at the time. And while our housing element has a total of 14 programs, I'm not going to go over each one, but I do want to kind of highlight these 3 ones where there was a lot of action that's either coming up or that we recently completed. So the adequate sites zone for RENA. So a big component of the RENA is that we need to demonstrate to the state that to meet this allocation that we have the sites that are vacant, they're zoned properly, and also they also check, well, is it feasible that they're developable? So it's literally basically an Excel spread, a table of all those sites that are on that screen. So what we did in 2022, December 2022 is we did a rezoning of a lot of the areas of the city to allow for that type of development. And currently is our staff is working on an interactive GIS map that would show people these sites, whether they're available or not, the density that they're kind of the density that was proposed in the housing element, just to provide that information to the public. And I'll go over a little bit more detail about that specific project that we're working on. Zoning code amendments. So this is something that we're currently in the works, and we're expected to provide that to the city council in June of this year. And we're focusing mainly on how we can make it easier for these units like duplexes up to like 4plexes, 8 units per lot, like identify some of the barriers that people find to develop these lots, and address some of the concerns, while also trying to make sure that, that those apartments that are, they're safe, and they're still a adequate residence for a family. And included in this zoning code amendment, it's not part of the zoning code, is we're looking at some of the subdivision ordinance requirements. I know at the last community enhancement task force meeting, we talked about maybe looking at some of the parkway requirements that we apply to new subdivisions, and also looking at maybe some of the setback requirements that also are low density residential is subject to. And regarding accessory dwelling units, something that we did in the last, I think like 6 months, is that we consolidated the planning and building review for those. So before, it would have to go through planning staff, and after that, it would go to building plan review. And that created a lot of kind of confusion among the residents, but also kind of created some, we kind of looked at this, at the whole program, and realized it might have been unnecessary time for applicants to review, an unnecessary time frame for the city to review these proposals. Staff has also completed ADU handout. We have that on our website. We're also working on a Spanish translation for that, because we do receive a lot of questions every day. I'm assuming like 3 times a day someone comes in asking about ADUs. And we also are kind of starting to think about preparing these ADU permit ready plans. So basically it'd be an ADU that is already permitted as long as you follow the plans, and then you also need to give us information about where exactly it's going to be located at. So just to make it easier for the residents to go ahead and apply for ADUs if they want to. Okay, and the next couple slides I'm going to go over some of what we're seeing in housing development. So this is a table that we've updated every year, showing you the permits that are being issued by housing type. And the very last column shows for 2023. So I would say for 2023 is pretty on trend to 2021, 2020, and 2018. We did see one notable thing is like we didn't receive any no permits for any single family were permitted. So that's something that that we are looking into, and we do see as was expected, a kind of a higher trend of the ADUs that are being permitted. Okay, so things to look out for this year. So far for this year, we've issued 35 we permitted 35 residential units this year. I was looking back at the presentation that I gave last year, and at around this time it was 7. So that's already getting better. And some projects are expected to be permitted in next, I'll say probably next month, is the Delilah Garden Apartments. That's the rendering that's on the left side of your screen. This is a development on the southeast corner of Main Street and Bruce Street Avenue, and that's planned to have 177 units. So that should be coming up. I'm expecting them to start construction before this year. And in the planning side, so these are some of the major projects that we're looking at. The Town Center single family residential subdivision, that's 104 units. The 6 and Spirit Apartments, overall that's gonna be like 292 units. The 1274 Pico Avenue, 56 units. And 2 subdivisions that we're currently reviewing. Those do involve annexation, so there might be a little bit more ahead of more in the future. And then that's Willow Bend subdivision, that's 120 single family units, and also the Park View subdivision, which is 114 single family homes. And some of the projects that I'm kind of envisioning that we'll complete this year for the Community Development Department is finish that zoning code update, which, as I mentioned, is looking at revising some of the residential development standards to entice some of these 2 to 8 unit developments. Look at some of the subdivision requirements, so that includes like the parkway requirement and also the side yard setbacks. Like I mentioned, I do want to have some type of interactive housing site inventory map, and that was kind of an idea that I know the Adriana Nava invited me to meet with some of the the group of the Imperial County Association of Realtors, and they did kind of mention that that would be very useful information for them. So that was the genesis of that idea. The permanent ready ADU plans, and kind of the big item up at the asterisk, because I'm not too sure if we're going to be able to finish it this year, is the electronic building plan submission. So, you know, we do want to implement a system for at least some of the over-the-counter building permit plans, sorry, building permits, but maybe for the more in-depth ones, like for apartments and ADUs, we might not implement that till like later, sorry, early next year. Okay, so that concludes my presentation. My recommendation is if the staff could accept the city's annual housing element progress report and the implementation of the housing element, and direct staff to go ahead and submit that to the Governor's Office of Planning and Research, and also to the California Department of Housing and Community Development. And I'm available for any questions that the council might have regarding this.
Colleagues, any questions for Mr. Hernandez?
I do have one, Madam Mayor, and that is that I typically, you know, our colleagues from other regions and other parts, they always hate their rate allocation numbers, right? And they're always pushing back. I think we are spoiled and we're fortunate in Imperial County to still have land that we could develop and whatnot, because, you know, like communities in LA don't have that luxury, or in Orange County and whatnot. But my question is, of the RENA allocation that we received and the layout of what needs to be high income, low income, and whatnot, did you have any thoughts, or was there any pushback that you thought was going to trend towards a problem for us? And I just wanted to pick your brain on something that you could potentially highlight for us now, as there may not be an issue and we may be able to meet our RENA allocation numbers, and that's great, but you being the expert on this, is there something that you would want to highlight for us?
What I'm understanding is, like, is there any like maybe some controversy regarding some of the sites that we,
or do you
out?
do you see a trend in the number of, for example, high income housing or low income housing, that you think that based on our current boundary of El Centro, that you could say 5 years from now we're going to have difficulty meeting those requirements that are set for us by the state, or something like that? That's what I'm asking.
Sure. So I remember when we first started doing the housing element update, like in 2020, there was a copy of this map that was a draft of it, and I do remember, like, at that first meeting there was some calls regarding some of the sites, and people saw that, and maybe it's just kind of a matter of the state law kind of using certain terms that, you know, that people don't like, about like lower income housing and things like that. There were some kind of questions about some of the sites, and to answer that, I mean, what was the way that these income categories are kind of categorized is based on the density and just realistic what we think could be there, and the type of the housing level. Something else is kind of what we've been struggling, and it's good, it's very evident in this graph, is the single family housing, the entry level housing, those types of units. Usually those are, I mean, in the area, in Imperial County, those are met by new single family subdivisions. So that's something that we've been struggling. Hopefully with some of these projects I highlighted that are in the planning. Let's see. Some of these projects that we're highlighting that are in the planning phase, we could address that need of, you know, entry level housing for young families, and that want to not live in an apartment, but want to live in a house on its own. So yeah, that's kind of the main thing that we're kind of really focusing in on.
Madam Mayor, if I can, I just like to take this opportunity to really share how all these projects that are in the pipeline, I think one of the concerns that at least we hear seems to be that there's such a difficulty in having or having the opportunity to be housed and being put on a wait list for a long time for an apartment. And I think this slide is very truth-telling in showing that the city has several projects that are in the pipeline and will assist in this process. We'd like it to happen much sooner than possible, right? But I think it's important when we talk about the growth for our city that we share this information and that our community is aware. So thank you for showing that slide again, just to highlight that. And we're making progress, and with growth in our city, these are the things that we're going to face. But as a city, we've come together and strategically are working on making sure that we're alleviating some of those issues.
Yes, and if I may, I want to kind of show a map that we do have on our website that shows not only the residential projects, but other projects that are either under construction or under type of plan review. I don't know if that's okay if I just go to our city website to show like a
Well,
map.
yeah,
Okay.
of course, but let me ask a question. Those
Sure.
35 residential units, those are single family homes, is that correct?
No, those are, I think 24 of those were multifamily units. I think those are those are two buildings at the town center apartment complex. That's the active construction site behind Target.
Mhm.
And the other 11 were ADUs.
Okay, no, go ahead and show, yeah.
So this is a map that we have available on our website, and we update this about every month, just showing the different status of different projects. So the ones in yellow are residential projects. The ones in red are commercial projects. Purple is industrial, blue is institutional, green is parks, and we do have another shade of green for the capital improvement projects that the city is working on. So just focusing on some of the residential projects. These are the two ones I kind of highlighted that are require annexation, the Willow Bend residential subdivision, and also the Parkview subdivision. And if you click on it, you could get some more information about where it is, how many units that we have. And for some of them, we do have some type of like draft site plan. Now, highlight, underline, bold, draft site plan. But I mean, if anyone has any comments about it, of course, reach out to us. And this is available to the public and for anyone to use.
Excellent, Angel. I think this shows the progressiveness of making sure that we have transparency and that our residents understand what is being worked on and what's in the pipeline. I love that we're incorporating the easy access and the transparency of just having this as a resource. I think for us, many of us, as we're out in the community or at events, we get asked, what is being worked on, or what are some of the projects that the city is working on, and that we can give them this as a resource to be able to literally click and see the growth that's taking place in their city. So great work. I love how technology has been incorporated into sharing what's happening at the city level.
Councilmember Carter, any questions or comments for Mr. Hernandez?
Oh, I'm just excited about the growth, and I took a picture of it, and I'm gonna go out and see. You know me, I like to go and take pictures and look at things and just brag about what El Centro is doing, and just thank you for your hard work and your effort towards all this.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
I did not know we had that development map resource. That is something I'm going to definitely play with when I get home.
A new toy, huh? I've seen it before only when Adriana brings that up during some of our community and task force meetings, so it's like, oh, now we've incorporated it into the website. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
So, wow. All righty. Okay, so members, we've all voted and that is 5-0. We've adopted the, excuse me. We've adopted that recommendation. So thank you, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you.
Okay, so next on the agenda, the 2023 Solid Waste Contract Compliance Audit, Mr. Abraham Campos, our Public Works Director and City Engineer.
Hi, good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members again, and I don't have a fancy graphic or GIS data. I do want to bring up that Angel, our ATP funding and grants, really without the support of Angel and his team, we won't get those grants so we can't build them. So thank you to you and your department for all the support on ATPs and for these tools and graphics that we get for the applications. So, but for right now, for the item here we have before us is a contract compliance audit on CRNR. This is just preface this that this is not due to any concerns that we have with CRNR. If we actually haven't received costs on service or sweeping, it's been really good going on. They're actually working on expanding their facilities here in El Centro, and we're working with them to that effect. This item is regarding a contract clause that we added as part of the renegotiation with CRNR, which allows the city an opportunity to get a window into their contract and make sure that we are tracking some of the financial data from them, make sure that we're getting what we need to, and as well as some service parameters. I did want to bring out that we have Lindsay Lagos from HFNH on the line should any questions come up on the service. What we're trying to do is approve a contract with HFNH to look at different items of the contract with CRNR, from customer service levels, verification of diversion rates, which is a technical metric that Lindsay can help me explain. Tonnage on solid waste, that's receipts, fee payments that we get from CRNR as part of the contract, compliance with the terms, any complaint logs. These are some of the items that will be reviewed as part of this contract. Initially, we will need to set this fund from finance, perhaps from general fund, but we would be reaching out to CRNR to reimburse the cost of this to the city, to a net zero cost to the city, or it's actually already covered as part of the rates. So just making use of that clause that we have and making sure that we continue keeping up with our contracts, CRNR in this case. I would be recommending that we approve this contract with HFNH to review the terms with CRNR. Lindsay, I'm not sure if you have anything to add to that.
Hi, everyone. No, that was a great job, Abraham. I don't have anything to add to it. I'm happy to hear that you all feel happy with your services with CRNR. And I can just quickly give a little lesson on diversion. It's just how much waste is being diverted from the landfill.
Thank you. All right. Any questions?
Colleagues, any questions for Mr. Campos or, sorry, I can't see. No, looks like. Well, okie dokie. So it looks like we've adopted resolution number 24-14. Okay, resolution of the City Council of the City of El Centro approving an agreement for professional services between the city and HF&H Consultants LLC for solid waste consulting services. Ready, Mr. Campos, thank you so much for that. And so we move on to item number 9, approval of consulting agreement with Landmark Consulting Incorporated for geotechnical services. And Mr. Campos, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. So as you know, we started construction of the police station. We're scheduled to start bringing down the south wall of, or southern portion of that facility in the next week or two. We'll provide information when that's happening, as that's an exciting and sad part of the process. But a lot of demolition has already occurred. If you go to the site, you see a lot of earthwork. The contractor has already started digging for the new foundations, the new footings. They've already brought down the shade structures, remove a lot of the asphalt that was in the way, fenced everything off. We've change the traffic patterns to accommodate for the construction. So a lot of activity already happening. A lot of it is in the soils. Very early on, we found out that because of the type of structures, foundations that are needed, deep bios in this case, we needed to bring back Landmark Consulting, the original geotech, to help answer some of the questions that the contractor was having. So the contract before you is bringing Landmark Consulting, a local firm, to provide assistance, inspection services as it relates to foundation and design or foundation review, geotechnical review of the soils to support the proposed foundation systems required by the police station. As you know, this is a critical facility, so when it's designed, this building itself is designed to a higher level. The foundations are deeper, the requirements for seismic are higher, and that's why we need the additional services for Landmark in this case. The cost is contemplated in an available budget on the Measure P bond. So this is not an additional request. We'll cover from existing contingencies that we have built for things like this that happen during construction. Any questions?
Colleagues, any questions from Mr. Campos? No, doesn't look like anybody does. I was just going to comment. I thought you were going to ask us for Mr. $1 Million Man, that you were going to ask us for more funding, but I'm glad to see that part two of that covers, the
Yes.
cost of this additional. Okay.
Madam Mayor, I was
Yes.
going to ask what happened to the time capsule and where was it moved?
I know it's been relocated, okay.
In temporary storage, while we sort out the final location and details.
Okay, so colleagues, we've all, that resolution passes 5-0. And Madam City Clerk, that covers, oh, excuse me, Mr. Cesenia, were you going to say something or?
Madam Mayor, if I may, I would just like to, since we're talking about funding for the police station, just brief you on a couple of items related to that particular item. So as you're aware, the cost of actually building, whether we're talking about supplies, equipment, or staff for a prevailing wage job, for example, as the city would have to do, is increased tremendously. So at the onset of the police station project, we had a shortfall that we had to cover using Measure P funds in order to make the project continue and move forward without any problems. After attending the Congressman Reese's Appropriation 101 workshop in January, a couple of funding opportunities opened up at the time. Councilmember Cardenas Singh was in attendance as well. And so we were given a pretty good idea of availability of dollars potentially for use for that particular purpose. This particular workshop provided significant understanding for us as far as the funding processes, as well as how this could potentially impact the community for those dollars coming through. As you're aware, recently the city did get funded through the office of Dr. Ronald Reese for $850,000 for the South Imperial Avenue Extension Project Phase 4. So this is very similar in nature as far as this requests or earmarks. In particular, we identified the need, right, to request from Senator Alex Padilla's office, specifically from the Senate's appropriation budget under the Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development Committee for some dollars, as well as a parallel submission, no less important, from the Office of State Assembly Member Eduardo Garcia for a state budget member funding request for the police station as well. So with that, with support from the Office of State Senator Stephen Padilla and their staffers, we have been working alongside them to get these done. And this has been very much a collaborative effort. They've been really helpful in helping us get these through. We're very well aware that the funding is not assured. This is an ask, so there's nothing that says that we will get funded or to what degree we'll get funded in this particular case. However, any dollars that come in would be helpful in closing the shortfall that we have, which we currently have closed with Measure P dollars. As you're aware, Measure P, we use it across the community, not only to fund activities within the community, but also for capital projects. So, potentially it could release some of those dollars back to the community where we can use them for community-based projects as well, in the absence of having to spend them on the police station. If we don't get funded from either one of those offices, the goal would be to still fund the project and complete it without any delay from Measure P dollars. Outside of that, we do have Commander. Did I just change your title? No, Commander McNish, as well as Chief Sawyer. I was going to flip-flop the titles. If you have any questions or concerns.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you tonight, what you have information on is one of the ways that we're looking to augment our budget and some of the shortcomings presented by the increased cost of construction, labor, and things that are affecting everyone across the state of California. It's one of our ways trying to be productive in seeking additional funds or alternative funding for our community to be able to keep funds here in our county. We do ask, we do realize it's a big ask of the Senate and of the Assembly members, but it's just a progressive way, trying to think outside of the box and bring money to our community to be able to keep our Measure P dollars here and be able to further those use of that Measure P money here in the community. Commander McNish has been instrumental in really moving this project forward, working with the Assembly member's office and his staff, Senator's office and their staff, and our lobbyists here at the city, and coordinating with Mario Renteria here for the city as well. So I have him here with me tonight. He's a lot more in the weeds of things and able to answer any of the maybe the more in-depth conversation. But I want to assure you that what we're looking for in any of our grant applications is really a way to get the best bang for our buck and move the city further along without taking money out of the coffers of our community. And this is just one of the greater ways that came to light for us that we thought this is an opportunity to keep money here in the city and to be able to move the project forward. And that's really the spirit of the request here tonight.
Colleagues, does anyone have any questions or comments for Chief Sawyer or Commander McNish? No?
I do, Madam Mayor, and I
Yes.
just really commend your department and all department heads for always trying to look for funding streams and opportunities to be able to enhance and improve our city and being very mindful about our fiduciary responsibility. So I thank you for those efforts and for being proactive in seeking these types of opportunities, and when they're available, that these discussions are taking place and that we're really being proactive about looking at funding streams. So I want to commend you for that.
And I echo Councilmember Cardenas Singh's sentiments as well, because I know that you've been looking at funding streams to help cover that huge gap that we have after, the budget was already prepared and so on. But so, we commend you for being proactive, and we just keep our fingers crossed that some of that funding comes through, and if not, we keep trying. And so
I do want to take this moment just to kind of recognize Commander McNish's dedication to the grant process, and also commend Mario Renteria in this process. He's been very helpful in the process. I'm sure a number of you have much more experience than myself and some of our staff members of what this looks like. This is new to us. It's an exciting opportunity, I think, for not only for the police department, but for the city. So any advice or any guidance would be greatly welcomed. But as far as the grant process, Commander McNish brings a wealth of knowledge to the city. We have a number of grants that we've been very successful year after year, Stone Garden, Office of Traffic Safety, things of that nature. But we have applied for well over $750,000 of grants additionally that are new to us. We're hoping to be successful in those processes. And we have a number of others that we're seeking in the future that we'll be bringing before council as those move forward in the process and become this outside of obviously the members' request. This is very unique to us and very new to us, but an exciting time. And we're always looking for ways to keep money within the city coffers and to be prudent with the citizens' monies and fund things outside of the box, if you will.
Madam Mayor, if I may, just a couple of closing comments. As Chief mentioned, right, new to us. That certainly is new to us, the earmarks and the process of requesting funding through the Assembly member's office. So I'm very, thankful for the work that Commander McNeish has put together, as well as everybody else that has been involved. But most importantly, as we move forward, we plan to identify a process in which we do these types of, procedures moving forward to ensure that, we have basically, some sort of uniformity in the way we do things. And obviously your involvement as well.
Well, thank you, Mr. Cesenia. Thank you, Chief Sawyer.
Thank you very much.
Commander McNish, thank you so much for your proactive work. Okay. And so then that resolution passed 5-0, and that's, so that would be adopting resolution number 24-15. Resolution of the City Council of the City of El Centro approving a professional services agreement with Landmark Consultants Incorporated for professional services relating to the police station project. And so that also covered item number 2 within that item. Okay, so, and then we move on to any legislative action. I don't see anything on the agenda, but I think Mr. Cesenia covered that. Informational items. Any questions or comments on?
We covered the informational item we were proposing in the last item.
Oh, okay. All righty. Thank you, Ms. Betsy. Okay, now we move on to task force reports from the mayor and council members. So,
All right, wonderful. It's been a busy 2 weeks. Just had the opportunity to attend the NAF Air Show. It's always a great opportunity to come together and just witness the great work that happens out at our Navy base, and to also see such an amazing, the engineering behind, right, and the piloting of our Blue Angels. So great pride in our country and witnessing that air show. Let's see, we had Women's Internationals Day that I was able to attend at the Imperial Valley Pioneers Museum. Picture was inducted of a group of women who took their picture here at the courthouse, and now that picture was unveiled and inducted into the Imperial Valley Pioneers Museum about the women's contribution here in Imperial Valley. On March 16th, had the opportunity to attend the opening ceremonies of the El Centro Little League and got to see our Mayor Pro Tem throw the first ball for the ceremony, and attended Sun Communities Federal Credit Union's 70th anniversary. Great event. And let's see, I had my daughter's wedding, so that kept us pretty busy, and so it was just a great 2 weeks. That's my report, Madam Mayor.
I will be brief. Thank you, colleagues. So I just want to give a shout out to the staff, HR, and whoever manages the wellness program, because I had a lot of fun at softball night. So there were some co-workers and colleagues here at the City of El Centro that participated, and it was fun to be able to play softball with them. And we're going to do it again on the 26th. On the 26th. So it's kind of a little shout out to either my colleagues up here or any other staff person that wants to show up. I certainly look forward to playing softball again on the 26th, but I had a good time. And I know that there have been a lot of events, and some of those are going to be covered. But the one thing I just wanted to touch on very quickly was just some context on the commentary that was done in the beginning of the meeting in terms of sticking to the purview of the responsibility of the City of El Centro. And I just want to acknowledge certain individuals that reached out to some members of the City Council, and the reasoning behind it was because they had some concerns related to the situation and the genocide that's happening in the Gaza Strip, related to Israel and Palestine. And so they expressed that they, as Palestinian descent members, have received harassment, threats, and whatnot. And so I only want to bring it up because I have my own personal views of what's going on, but just to share that should anybody, specifically in terms of as it relates to this issue, feel that they are receiving threatening remarks, threats to their life, and they feel unsafe because of that nature, I think it is very important to reach out to our police department and report those things so that you don't live in that state of fear and in that sense of danger. So, it is a very controversial issue. I just wanted to acknowledge to the group that reached out that we certainly hear you. I certainly hear you. And should you want to do something about it and see how the city can help you, certainly our law enforcement agencies are here to do just that. So after that, I will yield back.
Thank you, Councilmember Leva. Councilmember Carter?
I had the honor of attending the Dr. Seuss event at the library. Wow, your staff, wow, they did an amazing job decorating. I just sat there and I looked around and they just were like, yes, we did this. I said, you did all this? They were like, yes, we did all this. So hats off to them. I just really want to say they did a really good job decorating. And then I had the honor of working the booth at the fair as well. And that was very nice to be able to see so many community members that, were just proud to see that the city of El Centro had a booth there, and they were interested in bringing their kids and spinning the wheel, and they were just excited about getting a cup or getting this, it was amazing. Very good, very nice event to work the booth, the fair. And I also attended the Women's International Day. That was an honor to be around so many powerful women. The air show, I also attended that as well. The Imperial Valley Healthcare District special meeting, I attended that as well. And then I had the honor of putting on a hard hat and a vest and literally hitting the pavement. I went out and got to see how they actually made the pavement works and the different phases that they use and all of the equipment that is used. It was phenomenal. My hat goes off to Tony Alvarado. He did an amazing job giving me step-by-step details and taking me out and just showing me what it all consisted of. And it was very phenomenal. That concludes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Carter. Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
I had the opportunity to attend the National League of Cities Congressional City Conference in Washington, D.C. It was a great opportunity filled with a lot of information. I had a policy committee meeting for the Fair Committee. I'm still compiling my notes, so I'll have more of a report on that the next session. When I got back, I had the opportunity of attending opening day for the El Centro Little League. I did get to throw out the first pitch and got to see my son play his first game, so that was really exciting and meaningful for me. But just seeing the crowd of people and all of the kids that were there and all of the teams assembled, it really brings us back to what we did last year in sponsoring that league and making sure that all of the children in El Centro have the opportunity to play baseball if they want to. And just seeing the parents bringing in equipment and speaking with the president, Ivan Murillo, about how he has had a great opportunity to receive extra cleats, gloves, bats, whatever the kids need to make sure that they can go out there and enjoy themselves and build those skills of teamwork and camaraderie and discipline. And it's just a wonderful opportunity to see that going. And I also look forward to attending, we're all going to be attending a policy committee coming up either on the 21st or the 22nd of this week. I'm going to be attending the Public Safety Policy Committee for the League of California Cities. So I'm looking forward to that and discussing current trends in legislation and what the policy stances are going to be. I know that my packet is extremely robust. I'm sure that my colleagues' packets are equally robust, but it looks like the League of California Cities is getting ready for this legislative session and taking some pretty good stances on some legislative action that's going to be coming down, and especially with a lot of the things that are happening with Prop 47, retail theft, things of that nature. It's going to be really interesting to see the competing bills and how the League of California Cities deals with the nuances in each individual bill and how they make their recommendations in order to better policy that'll cover all of the state of California, not just small municipalities like us, but also the larger cities. And crafting a solution that affects all of us is where the detail and the work really goes into it. So I'm really excited about attending that on Friday. And with that, I'll conclude.
Okay, and so I too was at the Dr. Seuss Family Night, and I have to commend Ms. Carla Mason and all of her team at the library for the little details that you put into putting an event together, because you really did have, it looked so festive, so lively, so energetic. And I do have to say your MC, Mr. Trivia, and I know Clyde, I hadn't seen him in quite a while, but he was doing a pretty good job of keeping the crowd going. So kudos to you and your team, Carla. The next morning, I was invited to read, to be a Dr. Seuss reader at Washington Elementary School. And, I was flattered, because on the way they were escorting me to the classroom where I was going to read. And the young lady shared with me that they had a drawing to see who was going to get the mayor, to read in their room. And it so turns out that it was Mrs. Norma Villacaña's classroom, but it wasn't our Norma Villacaña that retired from the city. It's her sister-in-law. So, and as a matter of fact, they delivered some letters that the kids wrote to me. So I'm really looking forward to reading those. That was so much fun. And the night before, I got a Dr. Seuss book at the library, If I Ran Your School, written by the Cat in the Hat. So they asked me to read the Lorax, but then I also asked if I could read that one, because it was really a fun book. It was really cute. Then after, let me see, my gosh, that's been a busy couple of weeks. We had a check presentation from Assembly Member Eduardo Garcia in the tune of $1.1 million to start work on the Buena Vista Park project, in that basin, that retention basin that's on the corner of 8th and Manuel Ortiz Avenue. So I know that we had a few residents that were out there, because they really have been advocating for recreational space out in their neighborhood. And so have we broken ground on that yet? Oh, you did? Oh, okay, great. So hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have some, we'll see a full-fledged park out there with the walking path as well. I was also out at the air show out at NAF. Thank you to Commander Lee for inviting us out there. That was, it really is impressive to see those jets and their performance. Wow, it just kind of leaves you very, very excited, to see all of that going on there. I had my Mondays with the mayor at Joy Juice and Deli, which is located downtown El Centro, where, if you recall, where Boat Rights Bakery was located. And so I'll announce in just a few minutes what else we have going with Mondays with the mayor. And Nindy also had the honor of being invited to, by the Imperial County Farm Bureau. Our city manager, Cedric Cesena, accompanied me and on an Imperial Valley ag tour. And so VC Farms hosted this, and they took us out to a field where they were harvesting cabbages. And it was that Friday morning when it rained. And so, aside from, all the harvesting that was going on, those workers, they work really hard and they work fast. And so, but because of the rain that morning, the fields were muddy. And so we also got to witness one of their trailers get stuck with the full load of cabbage bins. And, one of the tractors that just came in and just pushed them out of the mud. And then we went over to El Toro, to a feed yard. And, it's just amazing, what we learned, that at any given time, there are more cattle in the valley than there are residents. And they estimate anywhere from 400 to 450,000 head of cattle are in the valley at one time. So that was really cool. Then we concluded with the visit to, oh my gosh, what was the name of that third one, Cedric? West Grove.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and these, farmers, they shared with us all of the challenges and how they mediate all of the issues that they face with all of their crops and with the cost of farming nowadays and so on. So, it was a very educational and eye-opening experience. And so, let's see. So Mondays with the mayor, we continue that. The Monday with the mayor in April will be on the 8th at Renee's Comics and Sports Cards located at 549 West Main Street in the downtown area. So we invite the community to come out and talk to me about any topic that is related to the city. You know, we welcome all. We're going to try something new. We're going to shift the time. So we're going to be out there from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. And hopefully that will allow people to come and visit with us while we're there, and because this will be after work hours. We're still selling tickets for El Centro Day at the ballpark at Petco Park. Tickets are $142.50, and they are sold on a first come, first served basis. The game is the San Diego Padres versus the Los Angeles Dodgers on Saturday, May the 11th at 5:40 p.m. Deadline to buy tickets is this coming Friday, so make sure that you contact the city manager's office at 760-337-4540 for more information. Join us this Saturday for our exciting Easter extravaganza and movie at the park, and this is from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. out at Buckland Park. And we'll be giving out 15,000 eggs. I mean, we've progressed from 10,000 last year up to 15,000 because this event is just so popular and so much fun for the children. The Easter egg hunt will start at 5:30 p.m. And what we've done is this year, we're going to have 5 different age divisions throughout the park. And so then, you know, parents don't have to worry about losing track of their children, you know, when they're out there searching for the eggs, you know, so we'll keep it very family friendly. And I have to commend, you know, the Parks and Recreation Department for, you know, for listening to the community and for their concerns when we have these very popular events that are so well attended. And so hopefully we hit the nail on the head this time with the park divisions. Okay, so if you'd like more information, please look up our Parks and Recreation Department Facebook page. And then along those lines, on March the 30th, we will have our inaugural floating Easter egg hunt from 12 to 3 p.m. at the Aquatic Center. Space is limited. There is a registration fee here, and that is $5 per person. If you'd like more information, please contact the Aquatic Center at 760-335-4550. And then last but not least, we will have a check presentation, another check presentation with our Assembly Member Eduardo Garcia at 2 p.m. on April the 5th at our downtown square park. The Assembly Member will present the city with a check for $4.7 million for our MBS downtown project. We will have music and food trucks. The MBS project will revitalize our downtown square to host more events in the future. So hope that you will all join us. And that concludes my report. And we'll turn it over to Mr. Cedric Cecenia, our city manager.
Madam Mayor, thank you. My last 2 weeks are summarized on that one Friday we spent together traveling through the mud, where we met some cows and ate handfuls of dried up onions. So it was a lot of fun, I swear to you. As you know, driving through the mud was really fun. And seeing the mayor's face when she thought we were going to be stuck, it was even priceless. Nonetheless, it was great. I do want to thank the staff, City of El Centro staffers, for all their hard work and dedication over the past couple of weeks. I can't really pinpoint one particular piece in which they have not shined, and they continue to shine every day with the opportunity that El Centro can only offer. So, you know, thank you guys for all your hard work and dedication. It is truly, you know, something that moves me, you know, every time that I get to see it. Outside of that, you know, outside of the fun driving in the mud, I think that's all I have for tonight, Madam Mayor. We participate in all the same events. I think they've already been covered. Everybody have a great night.
That was different, huh, Cedric? You know,
Yes.
So, all righty. And it is now 7:49 p.m. and that concludes our meeting.